welcome back to Build Propulsion Lab at DevOps Belgium 2024. And here we go. My next guest is Dimitris. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And Dimitris, you're with Quarkus based on your T-shirt.
Yep.
Right? And so we obviously all know Quarkus by now. Hopefully, our guests, our audience should know Quarkus by now. But you know what? Just to make sure that everybody knows, what is Quarkus in a couple of words?
Yes. So Quarkus started as a project 5 years ago with the goal to modernize Java for the cloud. We had those other languages being very competitive for container-based deployments, smaller, nimbler, and Java was a bit, let's say, lacking. So what we set out to do with the team was to make Java really, let's say, interesting and performant, make it smaller, faster, but also try to fix the, let's say, the developer experience to make it, a lot more fun when you code the Quarkus application.
You got me a developer experience. How developer experience when you develop with Quarkus differs from other frameworks or other tools or other containers, whatever you call it?
Yeah. So with Quarkus, there's this thing called the developer mode, where you start Quarkus using Maven Quarkus Dev or using the Quarkus CLI, and Quarkus compiles and runs in the background with some extras added. So Quarkus can figure out if you're editing files, and if it sees that you change things, the next time you hit the server, it will freeze, compile, reload, and continue. And this is like instant, like it happens in less than half a second. So you don't have to leave your IDE, even if your IDE is VI. You support all the IDEs, but it doesn't depend on the IDE, and that makes the experience, very fluid, very fun. So the developer mode has this. It has other things as well. It has the developer UI. So in this special mode,
Still on the developer mode for the build, addressing the elephant here in the room. It also works with Gradle, obviously, not only Maven.
Yes.
Just to mention it out there.
Yeah.
And so basically like a Gradle daemon that will run and will recompile and rebuild constantly as your files change. And if you work in an IDE like IntelliJ, every time you do something, IntelliJ will sell it for you, and then the build will kick in, and then you will have a snapshot of what you just did running live, so you don't need to stop and recompile and do anything like that.
So you don't leave your IDE, you just keep coding, and Quarkus will do the right thing, will guess what you're trying to do. Another example, just right there, you have included an extension for, let's say, Postgres, right? But you have not provided the configuration. Then Quarkus guesses, you need Postgres, so it will spin up a container for you, actually two of them, one for live coding and one for your tests, without you having to do anything. This is called dev services.
It has something to do with test containers?
Yes.
It runs test containers in the background to spin those containers and provide those services for you while you run.
Right.
This is very, very cool.
And we support also all sorts of databases, messaging queues, like 30 different things. So.
This is absolutely awesome. So it actually, not only you don't need to leave your IDE to run builds and what's not, you actually don't need any favors from any others to provide you with testing environment or running environment or anything like that.
Correct.
It's just there, just works automatically out of the box.
Yeah.
This is nice, I like it.
Also, some, let's say, testing facilities, you could, you push a button in the console, you start background testing, so it will run your test suite, and it will rerun parts of the test suite that are touched by specific code changes. So if you change like a class here, it won't rerun anything. It will rerun those tests that relate to this class. So not many people do know that, but that also works.
This is very cool. This sounds like almost a predictive test selection feature that actually knows what tests were supposed to fail or at least change their status based on what code are you writing, so it can smartly select only those tests to run. This is very cool.
So those are like on the operational side. Then on the code side, in Quarkus, we take shortcuts where it makes sense. So for example, if you want a logger, everyone wants a logger, and you need like 5 lines of code to do it. In Quarkus, you could do it with 2. You know, we detect when we know you want a logger, so you just go straight ahead and declare it and use
like
it.
all this boilerplate of setting up a logger that you do every single time. You actually don't need to do.
So the concept was through the let's say built optimizations that we do, we can figure out what your application is doing, and then apply some either optimizations or ease of use things to help you do your work for the things we can figure out. So it's kind of a bit of an AI before AI, yeah? So.
Yeah, no, I mean, everybody are talking about how AI helps developer productivity, but those things are not less impactful, maybe even more, and you don't really need like AI or machine learning for it. Just the experience that we gathered as a developers, like the example of logger. You don't need an AI to know that people want a logger in each and every file they write, because we know that it exists just based on human learning, not machine learning, and obviously doing that is very, very impactful.
So yeah, things like that. And then of course the performance aspect is very competitive, you know, smaller images, everything you do compiles to native or it's a bug. So I think it makes life easier for developers.
I mean, the native compilation, it's kind of big deal right now with the ground VM, and everybody wants their native binaries, obviously, because the alternative is running them in Docker, which like a huge boilerplate and what's not. So obviously there is the side of the value of the native images, and you do it out of the box, and this is kind of the default mode.
You just provide a flag and it works. Just to throw a plug for you, you know, Quarkus now it's a big project. We've reached 1,000 contributors on the core repository. So you can imagine the Quarkus code itself has grown a lot. So we use Velocity.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that. Absolutely.
To actually improve a lot. We brought down a lot the build time. You know, it was like 4 hours and many builds and you know, pull requests, all that. So it had reached a point where it was almost unmanageable.
And this happened recently, right? It's been like a couple of months that we provided instance of the Velocity for the Quarkus project, and I'm glad to hear it helps.
It's a lifesaver. So if you have like a complex project, especially, you know, mono repos, you put everything in, and you're stuck with those huge build times. It makes a huge difference. So thank you very much for that.
Glad to hear that. This is our pleasure. Dimitris, thank you very much. It was very insightful, and if you don't use Quarkus, you should try it out.
Yeah.
There is also kind of an organizational exciting news, Common House Foundation that Quarkus joined, and it provides guarantees that this project will remain open source no matter what.
Yeah.
So no matter what, like Red Hat or anyone else decided, this Quarkus will be open source, will be always there for you to improve your developer experience when you're writing code. And with that, Dimitris, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Great, man.
And for you folks, stay tuned for more episodes of the Build Promotion Lab at DevOps Belgium 2024, coming to you right up. Thank you.